Welcome, welcome. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for braving the weather to come out. I know it's been really cold. In fact, down in Annapolis, it was so cold this morning, I saw a politician with his hands in his own pocket. So it's cold. It's cold down there. All right, so welcome to this local bill hearing of the Carroll County delegation. For those of you who don't know me, I think pretty much everybody in here does. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Haven Shoemaker. I'm the chair of the House delegation. I'm joined by Delegate April Rose, Senator.
Senator Justin Reedy, and we technically have a Senate and House delegation. We always meet and vote together, but I'm the chair of the Senate delegation.
Senator Katie Frey-Hester.
And some of our colleagues, there was a lot of things happening in Annapolis tonight, a lot of constituent stuff, and we also have some of our commissioners that have sent their regrets because they also had meetings and things going on. It's a very busy time for all of us, but we're glad that you could be with us.
Okay. So I guess, we'll go down the agenda, and those who want to who would like to introduce a specific bill, when I call the bill, just come to the microphone and talk about it a little bit. The first one on our agenda is the legislative bond bill request from the Boys and Girls Club of Westminster.
Good evening. I'm Bonnie Michaud. I'm the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club. First, we want to thank you so much for all your support. So that you know, we are in our new club. Since April 9th, we have 385 new members. Took 5 more today.
Wow.
We're open teen nights now. And now we're ready to go to phase 2. And that's why we're here tonight, to talk about the gymnasium that we want to build onto the Boys and Girls Club. So I have a few friends with me who participate in the club that really would like to talk to you about the bill that we're presenting now, asking for money for our new gymnasium.
Before we do that, I want to explain for the viewing audience and those here, a lot of you here are familiar with the bond bill process, but some of you may not be, and there are people watching. There is, because this will be relevant to our later discussion as well, every year the General Assembly sets aside about $15 million in the capital budget that's for local bond initiatives, for projects worthy, in my opinion, worthy, we have to vote on it, but worthy projects like things that will help the community but they always have to have, there's some criteria they have to meet. One of them is matching funds. That's the biggest criteria and most important. And so that is what the Boys and Girls Club is here to talk about. But I did want to go ahead and set that stage so we explain when we're talking about money, it's that specific pool of money. Many times people ask me, well, should we be doing these kind of projects? Which is a fair question in bad times, but the money will be in the budget and it will be spent. So we want to be sure that if we have worthy projects in Carroll County, that we try to take advantage of that. So please continue. I'm sorry.
And we appreciate it. Trust me.
And just to piggyback on that, I mean, we have been pretty successful in getting bond bill initiatives through to benefit the Westminster Boys and Girls Club. And now you're looking to expand onto the back, right? Okay.
So that we will be able to reach 600 children every day. Let's see. For one of our taller.
I'm Annabelle. I am 9 years old, and I've been a member of the Boys and Girls Club for 1.5 years. And I really think that we really need a gym because we don't get to go outside for recess at schools because it is too cold out, and so a lot of kids have lots of energy built up, and a gym would be the perfect place for kids to go and run around and get all that extra energy out.
Yes, it would.
and I think that a gym would be the perfect addition because lots of athletes go to the club. People who play baseball and basketball, they'd love to practice their sports and get better at them. And I think that a gym would be the perfect place to do that instead of walking all the way to East Middle, because only certain schools get to go on certain days of the week because there's not enough time for everyone to get to go. So that's why I think we need a gym.
Good job.
Very good. Very good.
Hi, my name is Abidelis Torres. I am 15 and I am a freshman at Winters Mill High School. The Boys and Girls Club is a place where you can just go, be yourself, be free, and just have fun. And a gym would be nice for the club because a lot of kids come to the club like agitated from a long day of like schoolwork or just like family problems that they need to deal with. And instead of talking about it, they just like to play their sports and have fun. So that would be a good way to like use the gym just for them to calm down and just have fun and be them. But also it'd be nice to have a gym because we do walk in cold temperatures to the East Middle gym, and sometimes the gym doesn't have heating, so it's still cold. So when they walk back, they're still freezing, so that'd be a good way to have a gym. And also, it would just be nice because it'd just be nice because everybody at the club is either really athletic or just needs something to do on their free time, so they would just use the gym. And honestly, the club, everybody is family there. We don't consider each other friends or just acquaintances. We're all family there, so that'd be nice.
You picked the right night to tell us about how cold it is to walk. Yeah, that's good.
Hi, I'm Erin Bishop, Marketing Director at the Boys and Girls Club. I just want to thank you guys for your past support. It's been amazing. I just want to highlight a couple of important pieces about the gymnasium. We hear from our teens all the time that there's nothing to do in Westminster. We need to give them something to do. We have started our teen nights. We're open every Friday night. We're actually open tonight for teen night as well. We want to be able to extend that. We want to be able to attract more teenagers to come to those nights, in addition to our kids that are using the gym every day. Childhood obesity continues to be on the rise. We want to do our part in spearheading that, trying to give our kids opportunities to be healthy. We want to extend our Healthy Habits program. We need a gym to do that. And we are also looking to start leagues so that every child in Westminster that wants to play sports has a place to do that. So it won't be if you're good enough to make a competitive team or if you have enough money to play on a recreational team. Every child that wants to play sports and wants to come to the Boys and Girls Club and do that in our gym will be able to do that. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else on the Boys and Girls Club bond bill? Next order of business is the Carroll County Instant Lottery Machines Fraternal Organizations in Carroll County, requested by the county commissioners on behalf of the Elks. Who wants to speak to that? All right.
Good evening, Marion Davidson. The Westminster Elks comprise of over 700 members. And we're a fraternal organization. We do things for the veterans as well as the youth. This year we give out 25 scholarships, over $21,000 to the Carroll County students. And this year coming, we're going to give out $22,000 with 25 scholarship recipients. Right now, I'd like to introduce our Veterans Chair, Les Mariner, here to tell us what we did for the veterans this year.
Yeah, hi. Last year, we obtained a grant from the Elks National Foundation, and we partnered with Carroll County Veteran Services, and we helped 3 individuals go from being homeless to independent living. And we helped them with furnishings and providing things to make a new home. This year, our focus is on veterans that are in nursing homes and assisted living. A lot of these people at the end of the month have nothing because their resources are taken so that they can stay in the facility. So we're going to see if they need a TV or a radio or something like that to make their lives more enjoyable, and that's what we're going to be doing this year. Also, we want to partner with them, and people that don't have families, we want to keep going back and seeing, and veterans should be honored. So that's what we're going to do this year. If the instant lottery could, this is the third year a bill has been introduced. Hopefully this year it'll get out of committee. I've had people tell me that the third year is the best year to get out of committee. It would greatly enhance what we could do for veterans in Carroll County. Thank you very much.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Two questions. One, it's Wes, last name?
Les Mariner.
Les Mariner.
Mariner, that's right. I want to be sure, we're just making sure we keep good notes about who testified. You may have signed in, but I want to be sure. So you guys are okay with being rolled into a statewide bill too if it comes to that? That's kind of been the hang up the last couple of years, it sounds like. We've all supported the doing it, and it's just been
Yeah, statewide is fine. I mean, the Eastern Shore already has this.
right.
And the VFW and the American Legion have it. We just didn't get rolled into that bill that passed several years ago. And we do a lot for the community here too, and we'd like to, the extra money coming in would go back out to the community. So it would really help things out.
Part of the challenge in the Senate side, I think the holdup last year honestly was in the Senate side, in the committee that it went to, not any of us, but and I think that sometimes there's this false idea that I think sometimes people are protecting, like we don't want too much gaming because we want the casinos to do well. It's like it's really apples and oranges. It's a different mix of people. It's not even the same stuff. So hopefully we'll get, knock on wood, we'll get better traction this year.
Well, it'd be good for the state, and it surely would be good for Carroll County veterans. Thank you very much.
The next speaker will be Dale Sears, who was head of the Drug Awareness Committee.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. As the chairman of the Drug Awareness Committee last year with the Westminster Elks, we partnered with the Carroll County Health Department and held the annual drug symposium where we had almost 160 people there at the Westminster Elks, and it was a great evening of federal speakers, state level, and locals as we, spoke about ways to combat the opioid issues within our own community. As you heard about our veterans programs, the Elks are really into youth. We want to be out there in the forefront, and certainly we all know the struggles we have in our community with substance abuse. We have it being attacked in all different directions. It seems like we are making some progress, but we continue to need funds. We use our local fundraising efforts at Westminster. We have our Grand Lodge, which gives us grants, but certainly this kind of instant lottery would give us additional revenues. We're always struggling, being a private fraternal organization, to keep our own operations fiscally sound. So it becomes more and more difficult for us to reach out to the community, and we want to continue to do that with our commitment of benevolence. So we appreciate your support in this bill. Thank you.
Thank you again, and look forward to your support.
All right. Next topic, Carroll County Public Facilities Bond Bill. Ted?
This is our more or less annual request for bond authorization, part of our funding plan for our capital program. Nothing different about what we're doing this year. I can take any questions if you have them.
We have a number now, though, right? We have a
Yes.
number to plug in? Okay.
Yes, although I'm meeting with the commissioners on Thursday, so they have actually not approved that number yet, but we did send it down in anticipation of that happening.
Well, just for the record, can you state what we think the number's going to be?
28.5 million.
And we always get a list of projects from you, which we appreciate. Yeah.
Yes, after we have that meeting on Thursday, we'll send all that down.
Okay. Thank you, Ted. Next is the Carroll County Gaming Repeal of Sunday Prohibition on gaming events, including raffles, etc., after 1 a.m. on Sunday. Mike?
Good evening, delegates and senators. Yes, this currently in Carroll County, the nonprofits have the ability to conduct these games. The payouts are limited in law. This bill would simply remove the prohibition for those payouts on Sunday. The current law allows them to go through the 1 a.m. on Sunday. This would just strike that language.
part of the issue is there are people who do this, some of the fire departments and others do games that they want to do a payout every day of the month, so that's part of what's limiting this.
It's tied to the lottery or whatever, yeah.
Precisely, and the lottery pays on Sundays.
Right.
All right. Any
questions for
any,
Mike?
or any opposed?
Yeah. Anybody else want to speak to that bill? Yea or nay? Okay. I didn't think so. All right. So we have 3 bills that are being requested by our liquor board. The first one is alcoholic beverages, required information on application, petition of support. Dave?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the legislature. The Board of Carroll County License Commissioners are in the process of updating our rules and regulations due to many numbers of statutory coverage in the state of Maryland. And while going through that, the first petition of support for a liquor license, it's a little bit antiquated and redundant. We find that most of our colleagues throughout the state do not require these signatures. Without the application, currently ask for 10 signatures to justify that that establishment is able and is proper to have a liquor license as far as local residents are concerned. When a new applicant goes out on the street and raps on the door to get somebody to sign it, maybe the resident just moved in there, the applicant just moved in there, and it's kind of redundant because a sign is posted on the property, it's properly, notice is properly given in the newspaper as to what is being requested, and of course the Board of License Commissioners has a public hearing. It's kind of redundant to have those because elsewhere in the rules and regulations for a licensee, it's required to have people who are residents of the district, who are taxpayers and voters, and they are asked to justify, or not just basically justify also, but to establish that the applicant is a proper and person to hold a liquor license. So it's a little bit redundant for these first 10 signatures just to say that, hey, yeah, we think we agree with the rest of our 9 neighbors who are required to 10 signatures to have this establishment where it's located. As you all probably know or may not know, a criminal background check and various other information must be part of an application. So these 10 signatures are kind of redundant, and as I said, we're about the only one in the state of Maryland who still has that as a part of our application.
You want to go to the next bill, Dave?
Our next bill is a Class D beer and wine license. We only have, what, 5 Class Ds? We only have 5 Class D licenses in Carroll County. Class D license, according to a state Class D license, which we adhere to, you can have on-premises and off-premises sales. We would like to have the authority as a Board of License Commissioners to have the option to issue off sales as well as certainly on sales. The current licensees would be grandfathered in. All this bill does is it authorizes the sale of off-premises consumption at the discretion of the Board of License Commissioners.
For the public, can you explain what a Class D license is real quick?
Class D license is a specialty type shop such as a tea room, something of that nature. The 5 that we have one or two are here in Westminster, one is in Hampstead, and one is in Sykesville that I can remember. The fifth one, I don't remember where it is. They're basically a tea or specialty shop. Okay. And the next bill is the same thing, only it has to do with a Class B and C beer, wine, and liquor license. The same thing. We're at Class C. Class C beer and wine license. The first bill is beer only, and they can get a Class D beer and wine license. So basically, they're the same thing, but there's two different licenses.
Any questions for Mr. Brawning? Any comments from the public on these? Pete?
You there, Mr. Chairman. My name is Pete Damios, president of the Carroll County Licensed Beverage Association. The only thing that I wanted to add here is we had also discussed, you're familiar with these brew pubs, local distilleries, the one that's coming on. So we had got together and for Carroll County and put together a bill that both sides agreed upon. We didn't put it in tonight because there's going to be a statewide effort, but I'd like to reserve the right before the cutoff period, if the state effort doesn't go, or doesn't look like it's going to go, is to put a local bill in that would allow the board to issue a Class D to any distillery or brew pub that already has received a license from the comptroller's office. So obviously I will get a copy of what we agreed on and give it to you guys and see how the statewide bill goes. Any more questions on that particular one?
No, we'll have to see kind of how that shakes out, I guess.
Yeah.
See if there's I'm trying to understand.
Well, right now, if, say this new distillery that's coming in, they have to get a license from the comptroller's office, okay? Right. Still, to operate in Carroll County, they have to get a local license. This Class D is kind of a catch-all license. That's why we are going to that, because the others are more specific to restaurant or liquor store type thing. So they would apply for a Class D license also in Carroll County.
But they can't do that right now?
No, because they want to have, well, I don't know, this other one maybe, because they're saying for on sale. The one they would have right now, they wouldn't be able, now where it is, they wouldn't be able to serve like mixed drinks, stuff like that on their tastings. They would only be able to sell stuff to their product to go. Okay. So.
Well, if that comes about, we can have the discussion and see kind of where it goes.
Yeah, I know that the lobbyists on the head, between the Brew Pubs Association and Steve, our lobbyist, and the guys from the wholesalers, they're all discussing it right now. So
if that happens, we can talk to you guys and talk to the liquor board.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, we already went through the public hearing at the board and with the commissioners. We just kind of withdrew it because of the statewide bill.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Did you have any comments on the three bills?
Oh, they're fine. Actually.
Fine with you?
Good. All right.
I didn't speak to that bill because we have discussed it as a board, as a commission, and as Pete said, we are waiting to see what the state does.
That's fine. And we don't have that bill drafted locally,
Right.
obviously, so we didn't have anything to talk about tonight
Right.
specifically. Okay.
And our fourth and final bill, simply now, our rules and regulations for a catering license, a BC license holder, must provide food as well as beverages at a catered event. Many, many times today at many catered events, food is already being provided by someone else. And what this does is allow somebody to cater alcoholic beverages as long as food is being provided. Under our rules now, and our state says the caterer must provide alcohol as well as food. And there's really no change in any of these 4 bills other than a few correct words than what was presented previously to you all at the county hearing.
Okay. Yeah, we actually have copies of these, of the actual bill, so, I mean, it's not a bill yet because we haven't filed it, but we have the draft of the bill to vote on, right? Okay.
Right. Just one comment. There's been a lot of publicity about closing time. We're having a public hearing as a commission on February the 13th here, so that's why you have nothing presented.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much for your time.
Was there anybody else that was here to comment on any of those bills?
All right, so the next bill is a Carroll County Gaming Home Games Bingo Bill. Now, 2 years ago, I introduced this bill, and basically what it sought to address is the fact that, if you can believe it, it's illegal for senior citizens to play nickel bingo in the common areas of, say, assisted living facilities or independent living facilities. As insane as that is, it's illegal. And so I put that bill forward in 2017, and it passed the House unanimously, and then died in the Senate.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Not pointing fingers.
not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but, so, I mean, I've been asked to reintroduce that bill.
I had the market cornered on the illegal nursing home bingo racket. So
Yeah, well, good job. So I've been asked to reintroduce that bill. We've had it drawn up, and I'm going to pursue that again so that Grandma and Grandpa can play bingo for a nickel or a
Legally.
quarter or whatever it is, and not have to worry about, going to the Who Scout. So.
Does anybody have any comments on that bill?
I have had the same number of seniors talk to me about that bill, and I support you 100% on it.
All right, I appreciate that, Commissioner. Okay, any other comment on the big bingo bill? All right. Discussion of bond initiative for turf field. Senator?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, so again, going back to what we mentioned about how the bond bill system works, there are every year there's money available in the budget at the state level to do matching funds for different types of community projects. This year, actually, we thought we were going to get some other requests from organizations, but a couple different ones have decided to wait a year because of a variety of factors. Anne Arundel County has 12 turf fields. They have them because over the years ago, previous gubernatorial administrations would allow school systems, they would use open space funds in the state budget to do turf fields. Carroll County has no turf fields, as I know many people know. One of the issues we had with Carroll County years ago was that there was a policy that they didn't want to put, the school system did not want to just put one turf field somewhere and not have any, or 2 turf fields if everybody couldn't have one. Now I think that may not be the way that the school system feels anymore, but unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the current governor doesn't believe in using open space funds for turf fields, which I actually agree with. You can't do a bond bill for a high school to have a turf field by itself. At least it's not typically, it's frowned upon to do it that way. However, we have this unique opportunity where the commissioners a couple years ago had set aside funds up to $500,000 for an initiative to put a turf field at the North Carroll High School complex. So when we didn't have any other initiatives, I started talking with Haven and we talked sort of amongst ourselves and thought this might be a great opportunity for us to get some state matching funds. As many of those of you that saw the announcement or the agenda, we could put in for as much as $500,000 in matching funds. It's probably not likely we would get that much. We'd probably get less than that. Last year, there were 500 high school athletic events of some kind or another that were canceled because of weather. Now, not all of that is because there wasn't a turf field, but quite a bit of that was when we have high school football games, there's been torrential rain. You can't play a football game and tear the field up for 3 weeks. It'd be torn up for 3 or 4 weeks before it would go back. So we've had to take high school football games and other types of sporting events, state championships even, have had to go to other places for state championships for many sports, have had to go to other places to play on a turf field. We lose out on the ticket sales, the concession revenue. We lose out on people coming to whatever town the high school is in and spend money there. So it's an opportunity that we have really to try to take advantage of money that may be available with bond funding. Some of the questions that I immediately got from people as I've talked to folks about this was, well, won't the county have to maintain it? Well, the county's already maintaining the fields that are there now. It's used by, that whole complex is used by the rec council, the rec councils over there. And so there's a lot of reasons why this isn't just deciding, hey, we want to put a turf field somewhere, or we want to put a turf field at North Carroll even. It's really about a nexus of a number of issues that are going on. And what I wanted to do was, number one, we actually don't have to have the delegation bless a bond bill. We could just, one individual legislator can put a bond bill in. Obviously, it has more weight if the delegation votes and says this is one of our priorities. So we wanted to have we sort of hurried to have it be able to have the public be able to know about it, to come and give their comments on it. What I wanted to do is ask Commissioner Weaver to comment and talk a little bit about the overall plan for the overall idea and plan for the property and how the turf field, fits into that. So.
Well, thank you. As you said, we had over 500 games canceled or events canceled last year in high schools. We had county championships not played in the county because we didn't have a field capable of playing on. So we have a facility. We have 50 acres. In that site right now with probably $10 million worth of infrastructure on it. We have tennis courts. We have outside basketball. We have a stadium. All we need is, I think, a turf field to kickstart the what I'm going to call the Carroll County Community Event Center. And this whole center would be a county-wide center being used for sporting events. I'm going to be Thursday asking the commissioners to go ahead and get representatives from each district to start setting up the vision, the long-range plan, and business plan for this site over here as the Carroll County Community Event Center. It has a lot of potential. We have 2 gyms inside, wrestling rooms. We have almost everything but the pool right now to go with. And that happens to be a local joke on that. It was built without the pool. But we do have facilities there that we need to start moving ahead with. We have the Sheriff's Training Center. I would love to move the Northern District into there. It would be the safest place in any place in the state with that many deputies operating out of that site. We also even have facilities for ice skating if we flood the areas in this kind of weather. So we have a lot of potential from that site. I think this first step is a turf field within the stadium. And I'm going to be asking to move for that Thursday. We're starting with a long-range plan and a phased-in plan for this event center. So I thank you and applaud you for getting some help on this. I think it would be great to start with that.
And I was hasty because I wanted to throw it back to Delegate Shoemaker, so I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. So, here's why pursuing bond money for a turf field up at North Carroll makes perfect sense. It's an absolute win for Carroll County, not just the northern part of the county, but the entire county. Last year, as the senator alluded to, we had over 72 inches of rain. A whole boatload of games got rained out. A number of football games got shifted to Howard County. By the way, the senator talked about Anne Arundel County having 12 turf fields. Well, Howard County has 12 high schools with turf fields and 6 parks with multiple turf fields. And I think Westminster High School, for instance, got routed down to that Western Regional Park, on more than one occasion, 3 times last year. Frederick County, next door, has 6 of their high schools have turf fields. We've got Zippo in Carroll County. Well, I understand Gerstow has one, but we don't have any that are publicly accessible. And in order to pursue a bond bill, the senator alluded to this, I mean, we need to strike while the iron's hot. There's $500,000 that the commissioners voted a couple years ago to put in place, with the rest to be matched by other means. So one of the prerequisites for getting a bond bill is there has to be a match in place. We've got the match. So the stars are aligning for us to make this request to pursue bond money for a turf field up the road. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get it. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get all of it at the very least. But we certainly can make the case that we got matching money in place, and it's a worthwhile endeavor to pursue. Furthermore, it seems to me that this particular site is uniquely situated in that it's a neutral site now, because there's no ongoing high school activity there. So nobody gets to claim home field advantage as such, as they would if it was located on the site of an active high school. 30 minutes from Eldersburg, 25 minutes from Taneytown, 8 miles from Westminster. It's situated in such a place that the whole county ought to be able to access that turf field up at North Carroll, and it's a win for the entire county. And not to mention, I'll just throw this in, has the added benefit of helping a beleaguered community. So, for all those reasons, I think this is entirely a worthwhile endeavor to pursue, and I think the senator and I are in agreement on that.
And may I add, we spent $80,000 in transportation last year to out-of-county fields just to use them. So
yeah,
this would be keeping that money in county.
Delegate Rose?
I just wanted to add that I completely support this initiative. Having 4 children myself and the majority of them playing sports over the years, we spent countless hours driving to Howard County for regional tournaments, not necessarily high school, but the rec sports and the travel teams. And it does get frustrating where, you constantly go to another community where you'd love to be able to have that at home. And that North Carroll campus, I had a daughter that played, travel softball. We had so many tournaments there, and it would be such a great thing for that community, because you're not there just for one day or one game or 2 games. You're there usually for the entire weekend. And while you're there, and I did this countless times, you stay there the whole day. And you go into Hampstead and you have lunch and you go back and you have dinner. And if you win, you come back and you have breakfast. It's just a great thing. And I think once it gets out there that we have this regional place, we start with just the, with that turf field. But then I think it really just highlights what is available there in that area, and will then, I think, attract a lot of activity. So I just fully support it. Just wanted to add that.
Comments on that? Jim?
Jim Rourke, I'm Hampstead Town Council. Just basically to touch on a couple of things that you guys already went over. When this was originally came up in October 2017, Jeff Diggett, who's Director of Rec and Parks for Carroll County, came out to Town Hall along with Commissioner Weaver, and they talked about the plan for it. And one of the reasons they were choosing that location, because it wasn't a school anymore. Because basically it didn't have to work around school sports and activities. It was an opportunity to get the turf field that can be used by all the rec councils, all the different communities. Town of Hampstead's full support of this project. I talked to business leaders, community leaders. Everyone looks forward to having it and supporting it along with the county. And as you said, the gyms and fields are being used now. You put this turf field in, that campus is huge. Those fields are in great shape. You put this turf field in, you do a little creative planning, scheduling, you could turn this really into a Carroll County crown jewel of athletic complexes. And when you talk about the travel, I Googled some things this afternoon, travel times, and the furthest one I found comparing travel was from South Carroll to Westminster, South Carroll to North Carroll, and it was 12 minutes longer to go to North Carroll versus Westminster. Some people I've talked to are that, like April, soccer moms travel all over the place on the weekends. They tell me they would much rather drive 12 additional minutes if they can find a place with easy access, adequate parking, and excellent amenities, rather than 12 minutes less, be jammed in trying to find a parking spot. And when you look at North Carroll, the parking's excellent, the fields are in excellent shape, you've got the best stadium, you've got great lighting, the press box is great, restrooms, concession stand, all ready to go, just waiting for somebody to use it. And I think this would be a great plan, and I want to thank you for bringing it back to life. Thank you.
Anybody else? Kenny?
Hi, I'm Kenny Kyler, and a few years ago I was born in Hampstead, and I'm from that area of the county. I love the comments you guys have all made. Again, this site has more than adequate parking. It's in a great location. It's easy access. Most of you know, but some of the public might not know, there's also a number of practice fields there. This could ultimately be 3 or 4 turf fields. There's an excellent baseball and softball field. And unfortunately, as I tend to do, I want to bring up one negative. You mentioned we didn't get a high school field because we quibbled about where it would go first, which is sad. Already today, your agenda came out, and I've heard, well, shouldn't this be at Deer Park or Westminster where it's more centrally located? 8 miles, Delegate Shoemaker said. You did some distances. Let's not bicker among ourselves in Carroll County. Let's let a first field happen. And I'd be saying the same thing if this was at Francis Scott Key, but it's not. It's at North Carroll. Let's get a field and then build on it. Let's not bicker about where it goes. I drove all the way from Limeburg to here tonight. I didn't need to stop and get gas. I didn't need to hit a rest stop. It is not that bad of a drive. This county is not that big. Let's not bicker about that. Let's make this happen.
Just in answering that, there was I remember that was the thing I heard the most when I started coaching, and then running now with young kids, running into circles with parents of kids playing soccer is, in Annapolis, I probably from Carroll County hear the most about firearms and the Second Amendment, and maybe 1 or 2 other hot button issues. But other than that, what I just randomly hear from people when I'm out in the community or when I'm going to soccer games or whatever is, why don't we have a turf field? So, I mean, it was one of those things. And I have to give some kudos about really, for a couple years, I know there's been a group of people meeting, trying from the Hampstead area, trying to figure out how we can make this happen. And Delegate Schumer actually kind of spearheaded some of those meetings. It was nice enough to include me a little bit, but they really have been trying to find the right way to go, the right avenue. So I think this could be something that really could work well.
Hi, I'm Tammy Ledley from Hampstead, and as Delegate Rose had stated, I was a travel mom for softball, and this is a great facility to have a turf field, to have a sports complex. As Mr. Rourke just stated, there's plenty of parking. There's also food within 5 minutes, several different types of food, which I've been to places where there's no food, and you're there all day for days. There's just so many advantages to where it is. And I agree too, you already have people saying, well, it's not centrally located. Well, when you play travel sports, I went everywhere from Pennsylvania to Howard County to Sykesville, you go all over. Trust me, 12 minutes doesn't make a difference. You go wherever they tell you to go. So I don't think that really matters. The fact is it's very easy to get to. It's straight off of 482, right off of 795. It's very easy to find. And I don't think any of that is an issue. I do believe we look and we need a turf field in Carroll County. But also from the town's point of view, when we were fighting for the high school, our concerns were when we lost the high school, of course, we lost two teams of every sport. So our children lost half of their opportunity to sports they could play for. And we also lost opportunity where we brought in revenue. Revenue was brought in for the businesses, for the football games and the plays and everything that happened there. So this would bring back a lot of those opportunities that we lost when we lost our high school. But we also struggle with our North Carroll Rec, and I don't know if anybody's here from North Carroll Rec. They utilize the fields and the gyms at North Carroll. Even with that in play, they're now going to Pennsylvania to try to find fields because they don't have enough fields. So we just hope it's something that everybody really considers. I know you support it, but I think it's greatly needed. So thank you.
Marcia.
Good evening. I am Marcia Herbert, and I'm speaking as a taxpayer tonight. And also, I don't think there's anybody else in the room besides Dick and I that have spent more time at North Carroll than the two of us. Dick, yes, that's exactly right. But I taught physical education over there for over 38 years, and I coached there for sports. I know that school in and out, and this would be a wonderful new plan for that school. And I do want to reiterate Carroll County Community Events Center. There is so many things that we can do with that school, inside and outside. And I don't know if you all know this, but they get $900 an hour to use that PG track over there. $900 an hour. I think they pay $1,700 or more to use the Hagerstown track there. We can never have anything, you know, our indoor track teams have to travel wherever we go. We are up to 500 students in that sport alone, and we have to spend over $80,000 a year in transportation just for that sport. Okay, I know athletics in this county. And the one thing that nobody has brought up, and I know I'm bad, I should have went to the opioid movie tonight, but this will help keep thousands of kids off the street. They will be participating in things that we can do on a turf field, if we get an indoor track, if we do activities in the gymnasium, and also on that stage. That is a beautiful facility that we can do all type of events in a center. So I hope with all my heart, and I know 3 years ago, Chris Tomlinson and I, Mike Stewart, we tried to get this done, and we got X'd out. But I hope this time you all can get this bond through, and this will help the students of Carroll County and the rec programs and the adult programs. We are in definitely need of just one Carroll County Community Event Center to get started, and I appreciate your time.
Dave?
Dave Browning. The county commissioners appointed a advisory committee. Their final report is going to be given on Thursday. Actually, the final report was given at Carroll Community College not too long ago. One of the visions for Parks and Recreation in that report is exactly what Commissioner Weaver and those people have just mentioned about a sports complex. So it is important to everybody, and that will be a main part of that report if you want to study it.
Jason.
Jason Sidock. So I don't live in the North Carroll area. I live in Silver Run, close enough. And we've heard from everybody from the North Carroll, and I think the whole county would agree having a turf field is a must for this county. We've talked about cost. We've talked about travel times. And as I've talked to many of you over the last 6 months or 12 months, we've got to do more with recreation in this county. But what we've not heard anyone say tonight, and I want to make sure it was said, is we're putting our children at a disadvantage by not having a turf field. You play soccer or any other sport on a turf field, well, on grass like we have, and then you go to a neighboring county and you play. Our children, it's a different level of play. The ball's moving faster. You can't cut. It's different. Now our children are at a disadvantage every time they line up against one of those teams someplace else. So keep that in mind, that it's not just as important to have it because of travel to other places, which is a huge thing. My daughter plays travel softball for the North Carroll Rec Council. I'm in those gyms. I was just in it Sunday. We're in those gyms once or twice a week now with winter conditioning for spring softball. And I'm going to tell you what, we're traveling regardless. So this isn't going to help us for softball, but getting a complex, like Commissioner Weaver's talking about, getting something it's going to be huge for adults and children alike. But just keep that in mind as you think about the cost of travel and you think of everything else. Think about the single fact is that it'd be a first step, because we need a lot more turf fields. But it'd be a first step in putting our kids on an equal playing field.
Any other public comments? Diane?
Hi, Diane Barrett, Hampstead resident. And I just want to emphasize, again, that I think it would be really important from a marketing standpoint to try to get the county on board, just, again, to emphasize that this is truly a county benefit and not just something for the North Carroll area. I'm on a couple of discussion, boards with, different educational groups, and sometimes there is truly a north versus south mentality, and, people in the southern part of the county think that this is, going to benefit the north more than it benefits everybody else. And I just think I obviously, I was involved in the fight for the school, and, we tried to get the other communities to support us in keeping these schools open. And, as long as their schools weren't affected by it, they didn't really care what happened to us, truly. I just think it's really important to, try to get everybody on board, and, that this is truly a benefit for the whole county, and it's going to really enhance the rec programs countywide and not just for one district. Thank you.
Anybody else? Senator?
Am I on? Yeah. I just, as many of you know, District 9 includes both Howard and Carroll County. And living in Howard County myself near the fairground and being a mom of 2 girls who play travel lacrosse, and having fallen down and slipped in mud on a rainy day, I would be fully in supportive of this in Carroll County. I can't believe you guys don't have one yet, and I'm looking forward to working with Senator Reedy to make this happen.
Anybody else on that topic or any other topics while we're here? Yes, sir.
John Wagner from the Pleasant Valley area, and this is another topic, but I'm a state retiree and was quite disappointed to learn that our medication benefits from our health plan were eliminated last year for anyone on Medicare, and I'm asking that you do what you can to try and get that reinstated, because we worked a lot of years to be eligible for those benefits, and to have them just taken away seems to be an injustice. And I thank you for your help on that.
Thank you for commenting on that. We actually had a briefing on that today in caucus, and I had actually put an initial bill in, but we ended up, Delegate Bromwell put in the bill to completely restore that. I know Delegate Shoemaker and myself both co-sponsored that bill, and quite a few people are very interested in getting that taken care of for you guys.
That's that House Bill 98 I was telling you.
Yep.
Correct, yes.
There's the Senate version that I can say we both co-sponsored, because everybody in the Senate has co-sponsored the Senate version of that bill, because I think everybody recognizes the how it was done was not correct. I will be the first to tell you, I think there's a great argument to be made that they need to phase it out, but you can't just do it and leave people in the lurch that have been planning their whole retirement around it. But it was done, you know the history. It was done in a massive bill that tucked into a budget bill that I actually voted against, but I honestly, I'd love to be able to say I voted against it because of that, but I voted against it for a lot of reasons, and that was in there. We're hoping that we can get this corrected. So we've all supporting a bill to fix it so that it's not that it doesn't continue moving forward, and so we'll see how it goes. But the fact that there are 47 senators and they've all signed on to sponsor the bill is probably a good sign in the Senate anyway that it's going to pass. So that's our hope, is we can get it turned around and fixed.
Yeah. And I'll just add, I think Delegate Bromwell already dropped the bill, but I already talked to some other colleagues, and they're all actually asking to amend on to the bill.
To be a sponsor.
I think that we will have a large support for that in the House as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Anything from anybody up here?
one announcement. Go ahead. The District 5, District 5 is most of Carroll County, not all of it though, of course. But we have on President's Day, we have a District 5 night in Annapolis. I don't have the details all in front of me to read, but if you check us out, any of us out on Facebook or on the internet, we have information posted about if you'd like to come down. It's a night for you to come to Annapolis. You'll hear from us. You get to attend the evening session, get some good food before you go. So we invite you to, I wanted to make sure I made that announcement. It's from 5:30 to 7:30 on Monday, President's Day. And so you'd be happy to, well, the details, we have details here. So if you're interested, please let us know. We'd love to have you come down.
Ken.
Ladies and gentlemen, senators and delegates, I appreciate your time here because I know what it's like in Annapolis during the session. My bill concerns, or what I would like to see introduced, is voter ID voting. Now, I realized in the past the House of Delegates and the Senate cannot agree on doing it. So what I'm asking is you put it on the ballot, let the citizens decide whether they want voter ID badges or not. That's all I'm saying. Put it on the ballot. Let the voters decide. Take it out of your hands. I know you all good guys and ladies. But let the citizens decide if they want voter ID because of the last election with all this other garbage.
Good idea.
Just put it on the ballot. That's all. Thank you.
Anybody else?
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Nobody opposed.